Lesson 4 is simple yet powerful. Silence is power. Most people underestimate how influential it can be to say less. In our noisy world, everyone wants to talk, explain, justify, or prove themselves. But here's the dark truth. Oversharing makes you predictable, vulnerable, and easy to manipulate. The person who speaks less often controls the conversation, the attention, and ultimately the outcome. Let me tell you a story. Meet Armand, a mid-level manager at a corporate firm. He was talented, ambitious, and driven. Yet, despite his abilities, his colleagues often overlooked him. Why? Because Armand always felt the need to explain everything. He justified every idea, clarified every thought, and provided constant context. He believed that clarity and transparency would earn him respect. The opposite happened. His constant talking made him predictable. Colleagues interrupted him, overruled him, and even subtly criticized him behind his back. Being too transparent gave him no leverage at all. Contrast this with Naila, a colleague equally competent. Naila had mastered strategic silence. She listened more than she spoke. She absorbed information carefully and only interjected when her words could create maximum impact. During meetings, she often waited until the room quieted down, then delivered her points with precision. Her colleagues found her mysterious, authoritative, and compelling. Silence had given her a natural power that Armand never realized existed. Now you might think, won't people think I'm weak or uninformed if I stay silent? Here's the secret. It's not about being completely mute. It's about speaking deliberately, thoughtfully, and strategically. Silence is a tool. Every pause, every withheld opinion, every unspoken thought increases the value of the words you eventually choose to share. The first principle is mastering the art of pausing. Pausing is not just a lack of sound. It's a signal that you are in control, that you are thinking, and that what you are about to say matters. The human brain pays attention to gaps in conversation. When you pause before answering a question, you create suspense. Listeners subconsciously perceive you as confident and authoritative. Imagine this. Someone asks your opinion on a proposal. Instead of rushing to answer, you pause. You count silently to 3. You breathe. You observe their reaction. Then you respond calmly and clearly. That simple pause elevates your influence. Your words carry weight not because they are inherently better, but because your restraint conveys control. Studies in communication psychology reveal that speakers who use strategic pauses are perceived as more competent, confident, and persuasive. Pausing is subtle, it is silent, but it shouts authority. The second principle is to speak only when it matters. Most people fill the air with trivial comments, explanations, and justifications. This constant talking drains attention and reduces perceived intelligence. The mysterious person understands the power of selective speech. Consider historical figures. Abraham Lincoln, for example, listened far more than he spoke. People underestimated him until he delivered precise, impactful words. Scarcity of speech creates authority. Before speaking, ask yourself, does this contribute to the outcome I want? Does it enhance my credibility? Does it command attention? If the answer is no, remain silent. Let others talk. Let them reveal intentions and make mistakes. Your silence becomes a tactical advantage, a shield, and a lever of influence. Humans are naturally curious. When you reveal less, others are compelled to wonder, speculate, and seek information from you. Mystery builds intrigue, respect, and subtle control. Take negotiators, for instance. A negotiator who reveals every strategy and priority immediately loses leverage. Conversely, a negotiator who discloses selectively forces the other party to work harder, reveal their intentions, and often concede more. This principle applies in personal life too. People respect individuals who have boundaries, who do not divulge every thought, and who maintain an enigmatic quality. Mystery creates fascination, and fascination creates power. Silence is not just about what you don't say. It is about what you actively do while silent. Listening. Listening allows you to gather intelligence, read body language, and understand motives. The silent observer often knows more than the loudest talker because attention is their ally. Imagine a meeting where everyone is talking, debating, and arguing. The loudest voices often dominate, but they also reveal weaknesses, biases, and hidden agendas. The person who listens strategically can later use that information to position themselves advantageously. Listening is active, not passive. Nod, maintain eye contact, and show subtle engagement. This keeps the speaker comfortable, unaware that you are collecting information. Your silence then becomes a tool, shaping outcomes behind the scenes. Silence also has an emotional effect. In conversations, people often speak to fill tension. By remaining silent in critical moments, you introduce uncertainty and reflection. This makes others more receptive to your ideas when you do speak. For example, during negotiations, when an offer is made that you find insufficient, do not respond immediately. Let the silence linger. Now that we understand the power of silence and mystery, let's dive deeper into how to use it in different situations and make it an indispensable tool in your life. Silence is not just a tactic. It is a lifestyle, a way of thinking, and a method of influencing people without them even realizing it. Those who master it often achieve extraordinary results, simply because they refuse to fall into the trap of endless talking and oversharing. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to make others reveal themselves. When you stay quiet, people are often compelled to fill the gap. They reveal their intentions, their weaknesses, and sometimes even their secrets. This is not manipulation in a malicious sense. It is simply using human nature to your advantage. People are uncomfortable with silence, and in their discomfort, they inadvertently give away information that you can use strategically. Imagine being in a negotiation, a job interview, or even a casual conversation, and noticing the exact moment when someone's words betray their true motives. This is the power of silence. Consider the workplace. Many people talk endlessly in meetings to appear engaged, competent, or friendly, but excessive talking can backfire. It can make others underestimate you, ignore your suggestions, or even perceive you as less intelligent. Strategic silence, on the other hand, positions you as someone who listens, evaluates, and only speaks when your input is genuinely valuable. This selective speech builds respect and authority effortlessly. Let's explore practical ways to implement this in daily interactions. First, control your response to provocative statements. Most people feel the need to answer immediately, to defend themselves, or to argue. The silent individual, however, observes. They assess the situation, read body language, and gauge emotional tone before speaking. This delay allows them to respond with precision, often diffusing conflict or turning it in their favor. Silence, in this sense, is a weapon of both defense and offense. It projects confidence, minimizes mistakes, and magnifies impact. Another key strategy is to use silence in storytelling or presentations. Have you noticed how the most compelling speakers rarely fill every second with words? They pause at critical moments to let the audience absorb information, anticipate what comes next, or reflect on the meaning of what has just been said. Each pause becomes a spotlight, highlighting your ideas without extra effort. The human brain is wired to pay attention to pauses, subconsciously attributing importance to what follows. By mastering these pauses, you can transform ordinary communication into something magnetic. Silence also creates emotional leverage. Think about tense conversations where emotions run high, disputes, negotiations, or debates. Most people react impulsively, speak out of fear or anger, and escalate the situation. A well-timed pause, however, changes the entire dynamic. The person who remains silent can observe, analyze, and respond with calm authority. Their restraint subtly pressures the other party, forcing them to reconsider, over-explain, or even self-correct. Emotional leverage through silence is subtle but devastatingly effective. Mystery, closely tied to silence, magnifies your influence. When people do not know everything about you, they are naturally curious. Curiosity is a powerful motivator. It draws people to you, keeps them engaged, and makes your words more memorable. Historical leaders, artists, and innovators all understood this principle. By revealing only what was necessary, they maintained an air of authority and intrigue. People were drawn not just to their ideas, but to their presence, their aura, and their deliberate restraint. Let's talk about personal relationships. How often do we overshare with friends, partners, or colleagues? Constantly explaining, justifying, and revealing can erode respect and diminish the perceived value of our opinions. Those who practice selective disclosure, on the other hand, maintain an aura of intrigue and command natural respect. People are more likely to listen, consider, and remember your words when they are carefully chosen rather than spilled recklessly. Silence can even protect you from emotional manipulation. When someone tries to provoke a reaction, people often respond instinctively, revealing their vulnerabilities. The silent individual, however, observes calmly, controlling their emotional response. They retain power while others display theirs openly. By mastering this, you can prevent conflicts from escalating, understand motives more clearly, and navigate complex social situations with ease. The art of silence also includes learning when to leave conversations. Not every discussion needs a resolution from you. Sometimes walking away without comment, allowing space for reflection, or letting others fill the silence can be far more effective than any immediate response. The ability to withdraw gracefully amplifies your influence. People notice absence, pay attention to it, and often reconsider their stance in your absence. Strategic silence is not just what you say or don't say, it is also how and when you remove yourself from interactions. Listening, the counterpart of silence, is a critical tool. By listening attentively, you gather subtle clues about personalities, desires, and hidden agendas. You learn to anticipate reactions, understand priorities, and detect inconsistencies. Every conversation becomes a source of intelligence, and the more silent you remain, the more you can absorb. Listening without the pressure to respond immediately gives you the upper hand, allowing you to intervene only at the most impact. Continuing our exploration of silence and mystery, let's focus on how to use these tools in conflict and high-stakes situations. Silence is not just a passive act. It is an active strategy. Those who master it can influence outcomes, manage emotions, and maintain authority even in the most challenging scenarios. Consider a tense workplace disagreement. Most people immediately react, defend themselves, or argue their point. But the person who understands the power of silence does something different. They observe. They analyze. They notice the body language, tone, and micro-expressions of everyone in the room. Instead of reacting impulsively, they wait. This pause is intentional. It allows emotions to settle, gives them time to gather information, and prepares them to respond in a way that maximizes impact. The person who reacts instantly often loses control. The person who remains silent gains it. Let me share a story. Ria, a project leader, had a team member who constantly challenged her authority. Normally, she would have tried to counter him immediately, defending herself and correcting his statements. But one day she chose a different approach. She remained silent, observing his words, his gestures, and the reactions of others. After a tense pause, she calmly delivered a concise, precise statement that addressed the issue without over-explaining. The team member was caught off guard. He had expected a reaction fueled by emotion, not calculated calm. By using silence strategically, Raya maintained control, commanded respect, and diffused tension. Silence also allows you to leverage anticipation. In negotiations, whether in business, sales, or personal matters, silence creates pressure. When an offer is made, an immediate response signals neediness or eagerness. By pausing, you introduce uncertainty. The other party begins to speculate, often revealing more than they intended or improving their offer. Silence, in this context, is a psychological lever. It subtly manipulates perception and guides decisions without a single aggressive word. In social interactions, silence can create fascination. People are naturally curious about those who do not reveal everything. Limited disclosure makes your personality, opinions, and intentions seem valuable and rare. When you do speak, your words are listened to attentively because they are not wasted on trivial matters. Mystery enhances your presence. It draws people in, keeps them engaged, and magnifies the perceived importance of your ideas. Listening remains a crucial counterpart to silence. Strategic listening allows you to detect patterns, motives, and hidden agendas.
It is not passive.
It is active observation. Every conversation becomes a source of intelligence. The more you listen, the more informed your responses become, and the more you influence outcomes. People who speak excessively often miss these nuances. They focus on expressing themselves, not understanding others. By staying silent and listening, you gain knowledge while they reveal their intentions freely. Silence also strengthens self-control. In a world addicted to instant reaction, the ability to pause before responding is rare and powerful. It allows you to think clearly, analyze situations accurately, and act with precision. Those who master this internal discipline are perceived as calm, composed, and authoritative. Their presence alone can shift the dynamics of any interaction. Silence communicates confidence more effectively than any words could. Let's talk about personal relationships. Oversharing or reacting immediately can lead to miscommunication, misunderstandings, and loss of respect. When you maintain deliberate silence, you encourage reflection and thoughtful communication. People begin to value your words more. They recognize that what you say matters. Your opinions carry weight because they are rare, carefully considered, and intentionally delivered. Mystery is enhanced when combined with consistent silence. People begin to wonder about your thoughts, intentions, and boundaries. This natural curiosity draws them in. They seek your input, follow your guidance, and engage with you more attentively. Leaders, influencers, and even artists understand this principle. The less they reveal, the more impact they have. Strategic silence makes ordinary communication extraordinary. Even in conflicts outside of work, such as family arguments or social disputes, silence can prevent escalation. Most people respond with emotion, defensiveness, or aggressive speech. By remaining silent, you create a calm anchor. Others may try to provoke you, but your restraint maintains control. The conversation shifts from reactive chaos to thoughtful resolution. Your influence increases, not because you dominate verbally, but because your composure shapes the interaction. Another critical aspect of silence is the ability to withdraw gracefully. Not every discussion requires a response from you. Sometimes, stepping back, giving space, or letting others fill the silence is more effective than speaking. Absence draws attention. People notice it, reconsider their actions, and sometimes even change their behavior. Strategic silence is therefore also about timing and presence, knowing when to engage and when to withhold engagement. Listening and observing during silence provides insight into human behavior. You can detect inconsistencies, as we conclude our deep dive into silence and mystery. It's essential to understand that these are not just techniques. They are habits that can shape your personality, relationships, and influence. Mastering silence allows you to control situations without raising your voice, influence outcomes without aggression, and command respect without demanding it. Those who understand this principle wield a subtle, almost invisible power, the kind that draws attention, creates curiosity, and leaves others respecting them instinctively. One of the most remarkable aspects of silence is its ability to amplify your words when you do speak. Think about it. If someone constantly talks, their words blend into the background noise. They are easily ignored, discounted, or forgotten. But if you speak selectively, each word becomes significant. People listen because they know your voice is rare, your insights are deliberate, and your timing is perfect. This scarcity creates value. Silence is, in essence, a multiplier for the impact of your communication. Let's take the workplace as an example. Imagine a team meeting where everyone is eager to share ideas. Most people dominate the conversation, trying to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. Yet the one who remains calm, attentive, and measured silently observes. They notice subtle cues, a hesitation in a colleague's proposal, an inconsistency in a plan, or unspoken tension between team members. When they finally speak, it is strategic, precise, and impactful. Their words carry weight because they have waited, absorbed, and calculated. This is how silence turns ordinary input into extraordinary influence. Silence also plays a crucial role in emotional intelligence. In tense discussions, arguments, or debates, most people react impulsively, letting their emotions dictate their words. The silent individual, however, remains composed. They process information, gauge the emotional climate, and respond deliberately. This restraint has two powerful effects. It prevents unnecessary escalation and subtly pressures others to rethink their positions. Emotional leverage through silence is one of the most underestimated tools of influence. It allows you to shape conversations without force, and it often leads others to compromise without realizing it. Mystery, when combined with silence, magnifies your personal power. Humans are naturally drawn to the unknown. Limited disclosure about yourself creates curiosity. People are intrigued, engaged, and more likely to follow your lead. This is why leaders, innovators, and influential figures often maintain an air of enigma. Their selective communication makes them compelling. People don't just pay attention to what they say. They are drawn to the aura, the presence, and the deliberate restraint behind their words. Mystery is not about hiding who you are. It's about revealing enough to guide perception while keeping certain elements deliberately hidden. Strategic silence also strengthens your social positioning. In any group, professional, personal, or social, those who speak impulsively are often taken for granted or overlooked. Their input is diluted by constant chatter. Conversely, those who are deliberate and selective command attention and influence. People value what is scarce, and in a world filled with noise, your silence becomes your most precious resource. By speaking less, you allow your words, actions, and decisions to resonate more deeply. In personal relationships, silence has profound effects. Over-explaining or constantly justifying yourself can weaken your influence and dilute respect. Conversely, maintaining thoughtful silence allows your opinions to be heard when they matter most. People begin to consider your words carefully. They recognize your discretion, patience, and thoughtfulness. Silence enhances your presence, creates respect, and encourages reflection. Those around you are more likely to value your perspective because it is rare and deliberate. Listening, the active partner to silence, cannot be overstated. When you listen attentively, you gain intelligence. Every conversation reveals motives, desires, and subtle cues. While others speak freely, you observe. You notice patterns, detect inconsistencies, and anticipate behaviors. This intelligence allows you to act strategically. Your responses are calculated, timely, and effective. The power of silence lies not just in what you don't say, but in how you use the information gathered while staying quiet. Silence also allows for graceful withdrawal. Not every interaction demands a response. Sometimes, stepping back, letting others speak, or allowing reflection is far more effective than immediate engagement. Absence can amplify presence. When you choose not to respond impulsively, people notice. They reconsider, reflect, and sometimes act differently. Strategic silence is as much about knowing when to remain absent as it is about knowing when to speak. Historical examples illustrate this perfectly. Steve Jobs, known for his enigmatic and deliberate communication style, rarely over-explained, yet his words shaped entire industries. Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany, often remained silent in meetings, speaking only at critical moments to guide decisions. Their restraint created fascination, commanded respect, and amplified the impact of their words. Silence and mystery were not accidental. They were deliberate strategies that transformed ordinary leaders into figures